Adil bhai, Adil bhai, close the door. Start, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So today is part 2 of the Hajj workshop, and yesterday we covered the Umrah. Just before we proceed to the actual Hajj itself, these are a few pointers related to Sa'i. When you're doing Sa'i, it is preferable to have wudu, but if you don't have wudu, it is still acceptable. Okay, so this is the first point. You don't have to climb all the way up to the top of Safa and Marwa. Okay, so there's like kind of a slope that comes at the end of the Mas'a. So you don't have to go all the way up to the top and then go around. Just basically getting to the point where there are pillars and then going back, this is sufficient. You don't have to go all the way to the top. It is permissible during the Sa'i to stop and take a rest and also drink water. And also after Tawaf, if you feel that you're a little bit tired and you do not have the energy to continue with Sa'i yet, you can give yourself a little bit of a break and then continue afterwards, but keeping in mind that while you are doing that, you are still going to be in the state of Ihram, so all the restrictions of Ihram will continue to apply. You don't jog the whole way from Safa to Marwa. Okay, the only place that you jog, you look at the ceiling where the green lights start, that's where you start jogging. Where the green lights stop, that's where you stop jogging. And this is only for the men, not for the sisters. The sisters, they will maintain their normal pace. There are no restricted du'as, no specific du'a during the Sa'i. You can make any du'a you like. Tasbih, tahmeed, tahleel, and glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, salutations upon the Prophet, istighfar, and so on. The last point that we mentioned yesterday is that before starting the Sa'i itself, to stand on Mount Safa or close to Mount Safa and to make dua, this is the time of acceptance of dua and a place of acceptance of dua. So turn towards the Qibla, the Kaaba, and make as much dua as possible. This is before you actually begin the Sa'i next to Mount Safa. Okay, go ahead. And the final stage is, like I mentioned yesterday, halaq and qasr. Halq means to shave the whole head, qasr means to trim the head, but whatever option you choose, it should be basically done equally throughout the whole head, and not just taking a piece from one side of the head. That's not sufficient. It has to be done on the whole head. It's more rewarding to actually do halaq, which is the shaving for the brothers, and for the sisters, obviously there's no halaq. You will just take a little bit, about a ½ inch from the end of the braid and cut it, and at that point the ihram is finished. Okay, go ahead. So this is the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ made dua for the people who made halaq 3 times, and the people who made qasr, the Prophet ﷺ made dua once. Rahimallahu al-muhalliqeen. The Prophet ﷺ made dua, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the ones that have made halaq. The Sahaba said, wal muqassirina ya Rasulullah, what about the people who made qasr, who just trimmed their head? And then the Prophet ﷺ made dua again, Rahimallahu al-muhalliqeen, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the ones that have made halaq. Wal muqassirin ya Rasulullah, what about the people who made qasr ya Rasulullah? He made dua a 3rd time, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the muhalliqeen, the ones who made halaq. And then the Sahaba asked again, wal muqassirin ya Rasulullah. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, wal muqassirin, and the muqassirin. Okay, as if to say, okay, that's also, I make dua for them, but you know, it's kind of like a final stage, last resort type of thing. The main thing is halaq. You should try to make halaq as much as possible. Okay, go ahead. Now, like I said yesterday, you have now completed the umrah, you've shaved the head, cut the hair for the ladies, and now at that point you are out of the state of ihram. For the next couple of days you should try to relax. Some people, they want to perform another umrah again, and if you have time, it's okay, it's permissible, but it's not really from the sunnah to do that. The Prophet ﷺ, he only did one umrah, and then he did not make any umrah after that. Okay, but if you choose to do so, you have to go back to the miqat. From Makkah to Mukarramah, the miqat is in a place called Masjid Aisha. Masjid Aisha, or also known as Tan'im or Masjid Aisha. Okay, and you would go to the road behind this hotel called Intercontinental Darut Tawheed. There's a road. This is kind of like the main road, and behind on that road you will find taxis. They're going to be shouting out Tan'im, Tan'im, Tan'im. You can just get onto the taxi. They will take you there. It's not very costly at all, and they will also bring you back. And basically in Masjid Aisha, you would keep your sheets on, make the intention of ihram. From there, come back and repeat the whole process again. Okay, so this is how you would perform another umrah. But my recommendation is that if you have just a couple of days, try to relax for those 2 days, so that you don't have fatigue during the days of Hajj, which can become very, very tiring. Okay, now when does Hajj start? It starts on 8th of Dhul Hijjah, and on the morning of 8th of Dhul Hijjah, you will put the ihram on from wherever you are. You don't have to go back to Masjid Aisha for the ihram of Hajj. You make it wherever you are, in a hotel or in Aziziyah, wherever you are, you would put the ihram on again, and before you start off to go to Mina, you would start making talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. And at this point, you're going to be in the state of ihram for the second time, and this is now the ihram of Hajj. And you will be in this state for the next 2 days or so. The next 2 days, you're going to be in the state of ihram. From the beginning of 8th all the way up to the 10th, you're going to be in ihram. All the restrictions of ihram now apply. No cutting of fingernails, no cutting of the hair, no use of perfume, no use of perfume soap, no hunting, no talk of intimacy with one's wife or husband. All of these things apply, and you would have to keep in mind that these restrictions are part and parcel of Hajj. You should not break those restrictions. Carry on. Okay, so this is an option that people are given for Hajj Qiran and Tamattu and Ifrad. You can also perform Sa'i, and then you don't have to perform Sa'i afterwards. But the catch is that even though you've performed the Sa'i cannot be performed with Tawaf. So it will have to be done again. So this is kind of I can say it's kind of a futile exercise. It's permissible to do Sa'i beforehand, but when you do Sa'i later on, you would have to make another Tawaf with it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the 8th of Dhul Hijjah is the first day of Hajj, and this day is like the Sunnah that you pray before the Fard. Okay, because the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, the day of Arafah, is the actual day of Hajj. So on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, you're basically psyching yourself up and mentally preparing yourself for the main day, which is going to be tomorrow. Okay, so just like you come in for Salat, and before praying the Fard prayer, you pray your Sunnah. Why? So you're mentally prepared for the Fard when it actually starts. So the 8th of Dhul Hijjah is for that purpose. So you go to the tent, and people when they see the tents, many people start panicking, and they have come maybe from a 5-star hotel, and now they see very, very basic accommodation, sleeping on the floor on these very tiny mattresses, irrespective of which package you got, whether you got an $8,000 package, or a $12,000 package. Pretty much you are in the same quarters, same facilities, same kind of bathrooms, same mattress that you sleep on. Some of the very elite packages like 15,000 or 16, 17,000, you may get your own bed to sleep in, but you have to pay top dollar for that. Okay, so in most of our cases, what's going to happen, you're going to get a small mattress to sleep on. So people are very panicking, running around, asking the leader, is this the right place? Are we supposed to be in this situation? And we were promised a very pricey package, and we gave this much money. The reality is that everyone is going to be in the same boat, and that is the reality of Hajj at that point. So you've gone from 5-star to very, very basic stuff. So sometimes people cannot deal with the shock of that. But be mentally prepared. Okay? So instead of running around and trying to chase the group leader or the travel agent, try to focus on ibadah, worship, recitation of Quran. This is the first day of Hajj. You are in Hajj right now. You are in the state of Ihram right now. So don't waste that time and be prepared. Okay, so back again. So what you do, you will be in Mina, you will perform Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha and the Fajr on the next day. And what some people will have to do, they will, maybe some travel agents, what they will do is they will leave in the middle of the night, maybe at 2 a.m., 1 a.m. They will leave because they have been given a slot at a certain time to take the trains at that time. So they may make you do that, okay, so to wake up in the middle of the night. The downside of that is that during the day of Arafah, you're going to be extremely exhausted and basically sleeping, and it becomes very, very tough. But you have to go along with what the group is doing, so you do what everyone else is doing. But otherwise, the sunnah is to do these things: Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and then Fajr at Mina, and then after Fajr, set off for Arafah. Okay, and that's when the main day of Hajj will start. Go ahead. These are the tents of Mina, and basically they're all the same everywhere. If you've got the VIP package, VIP means basically your tents are right next to the Jamarat, and it's easier for you to go and stone the pelt the Jamarat on the 10th, 11th and 12th day. Okay, the next stage is Wuquf Arafah, and this is the main day. The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Hajj Arafah. Hajj is Arafah. Okay, so if you miss going to the plain of Arafah on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, your Hajj is invalid. Your Hajj is invalid, you didn't perform the Hajj. You have to be within the boundaries of Arafah at least for a few minutes or a few seconds even, and then your Hajj will be valid. If you're not in Arafah, then your Hajj will be invalid. There is a masjid in the plains of Arafah which is called Masjid Namira. Many people, they will try their utmost to go into the masjid and stay there so that they can have a benefit from the khutbah of the Imam that is done in Masjid Namira. I would strongly recommend that you stay with your group and not try to go to the masjid. The point that I'm trying to make here is that half of Masjid Namira is actually outside of Arafah. So say for example, somebody in his eagerness, he went on the night of the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, between 8th and 9th of Dhul Hijjah, he went because he wants to go to Masjid Namira just to camp, and he camped in that point of the masjid which is outside of Arafah with his eagerness to participate in the khutbah. Now he stays there all day thinking that he's in Arafah because he thinks that the whole of the masjid is in Arafah, but yet his Hajj will be invalid because he was actually out of Arafah all the time. He didn't stay in Arafah on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. He came in on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah maybe, and then he got into the masjid and stayed there all the time, and now he did not stand in Arafah. He was not in Arafah, so the Hajj will be invalid. So very important to keep in mind that you have to be on the plain of Arafah for at least a few minutes for the Hajj to be accepted. Now, all the time on this day, you should try to be engaging yourself in dhikr, istighfar, dua, And when we say wuquf of Arafah, wuquf actually means to stand. Okay, so there is a point during the day where you should try to stand and make dua as much as possible. And the best time to do that is towards the end of the day, after Salatul Asr, when it gets a little bit cooler, and into or close to Salatul Maghrib. Everybody should be outside, raising their hands in a prayer, making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes some groups will be making collective dua, and some will encourage people to make them individually, but this is the time in which you should be making the most du'as as much as possible. The second point I'd like to make is many people try to go to Jabal al-Rahmah, and although the Prophet ﷺ gave the khutbah at Jabal al-Rahmah, it's not recommended for everyone to go there. You don't have to go to Jabal al-Rahmah. It is not an essential part of the Hajj. Okay, so as long as you're in Arafah, you do not try to move anywhere. And remember that once you get out of your tents, it is very, very easy to get lost. It's very easy to get lost, one point. Secondly, the Saudi government or the soldiers or the police, at any given time, they can put up some kind of barrier and just prevent you from coming through. Okay, so you were in a camp and you left the camp, and now on the way back, the police will say, no, you cannot get in from here. Go another way. You go all the way around and you'll be going around in circles looking and looking and looking, and you will not find an entrance to get into your camp, and you will be basically stuck outside. So better to stay with your group at all times so that you do not get into this predicament. Okay, on the day of Arafah, what you do is you pray Dhuhr and Asr together at Dhuhr time. Okay, and then at Maghrib time, what's going to happen is that in the tent, possibly your group leaders may, they may tell somebody to give khutbah. So one of the Imams of the group may give a khutbah, just telling people, advising people to make tawbah and repentance and so on. So there will be a khutbah which will take place before Dhuhr time. So Dhuhr and Asr will be then prayed together, and then at Maghrib time, before praying the Salat, you would then leave for Muzdalifah. Okay, carry on. These are the tents of Arafat. Go back a bit, you can see what so this is a picture of how usually the Arafat tents look like. They're carpeted and everything, and they usually have like the mobile air conditioning systems, but usually when the heat gets very hot and the sun is right at the top, the air conditioning cannot keep up. So it can get very, very uncomfortable, especially when the heat is, when the heat is high. So and actually not last year, the year before, what happened, the air conditioning systems actually broke down everywhere. So all the tents, VIP or otherwise, in Arafah, all the tents' air conditionings broke down, and everybody had to just rely on opening up the tents and letting the air come in from outside. But usually you have the air conditioning, but even that, it cannot keep up with the heat. So be prepared for that. Always keep yourself hydrated. Go ahead. Okay, now on the day, this is what I've just mentioned before. At Arafat, there's a masjid called Masjid Namira where you can pray your salah, but it is very difficult getting there. If you manage to get to Masjid Namira, then you will pray Dhuhr and Asr salah together at Dhuhr time. If you pray Dhuhr and Asr in your tent, then you will pray them separately at their appropriate times. There's a difference of opinion here about this issue, okay? But for the most part, even in the tents, people will pray them together. And then what I mentioned earlier, you're advised not to go to Masjid Namira because all the tents look the same. It's very easy to get lost and so on. Okay, go ahead. These are the du'as that you should try to do at Arafat. The fourth kalima, which is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahul mulku wal hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir, Surah Al-Ikhlas, salawat upon the Prophet ﷺ, and as many du'as as you can, basically, that you can do. Next. After sunset, you leave for Muzdalifah. And do not pray the Maghrib Salat at Arafat. Okay? Even if Maghrib time comes in, you leave for Muzdalifah. When you get to Muzdalifah, you will combine Maghrib and Isha together. Okay? You will pray Maghrib and Isha at Muzdalifah. Okay, so that's basically they're telling you the procedure of how to do that over there. Next. Muzdalifah, you should try to collect 70 pebbles. 70 pebbles, why? Because you're going to be stoning for 3 days. 21, 21, and 7, 21, and 21. And if you do it for one more day, 21. Okay? So, that's a total of 70 pebbles. If you do not collect the pebbles at Muzdalifah, you can actually collect them from elsewhere. But obviously, because the next stage is that you're going to be pelting one of the Jamarat the next day, it is the ideal time to collect the 70 stones. Okay, so it says there 7 pebbles for day 3, the third day of Hajj, 21 pebbles for day 4, 21 pebbles for day 5, and 21 pebbles for day 6 if you stay for the third day to make the Jamara. Okay. And it says at the bottom, it is also permissible to collect the pebbles from places other than Muzdalifah. Okay. So now what you do is you spend the night at Muzdalifah, and Muzdalifah is actually open air. There is no tent and there is no covering over you, so everyone is open air. If you want to, for this part of your trip, if you want to take like a yoga mat or something like that to put underneath yourself, because sometimes you're going to be on the sand. Now in many locations in Muzdalifah, what they've done is they've put like artificial grass. So if you get that, then you obviously don't need the yoga mat. And for the most part, most of the groups, they have carpeted areas reserved for themselves. So even at that point, you won't need the yoga mat. But if you want to take one just in case for Muzdalifah, then it's going to be more comfortable for you to sleep on. So you would sleep at Muzdalifah, and then at Fajr you would wake up, pray Salatul Fajr, and then proceed to go back to the Jamarat. Okay. So now perform Fajr Salat here, and then anytime after sunrise, leave to stone the Jamarat, which are located at Mina, a short distance from the tents. Leave for Mina, reciting the Talbiyah and performing dhikr. Okay, so you leave for the Jamarat, and basically nowadays you have the Jamarat, they are escalators that take you up to the building, and from different entrances, people are instructed to go to different floors. Okay, so it basically controls the crowd. So which of the Jamarat are you supposed to be pelting? So you leave the first Jamara, you leave the second Jamara, and you pelt the third Jamara. Okay, on the first day. Okay, when you're coming back from Muzdalifah, you leave the first one, you do not pelt that one. You leave the second one, and you go to the third one, and you will pelt that one. So basically it's going to be like this. The Jamarat are laid out like this. Like one here, and then one here, and one here like this. Okay? So what people tend to do is they will, as soon as they start seeing the Jamara and getting close to it, they will start throwing stones right from here. This is not the wise thing to do. The best thing to do is actually go round to the side and get close, and you will find that there is empty space for you to actually get close to the wall and actually pelt from very close up. Okay? So don't get overexcited when you see everybody they've started pelting the Jamara. Remember, this is not the shaitan that you're pelting. You are pelting a wall which signifies or symbolizes the shaitan. And if you do things which are contrary to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, this actually makes the shaitan happy. People, in their eagerness to punish the shaitan, they will take their shoes off and start throwing them inside, and they will take the biggest rock that they can find and try to throw it The sunnah is actually just to take small pebbles which fit into your thumb and forefinger and throw those. Okay? With each one you say Bismillah Allahu Akbar or Bismillah and throw. Bismillah Allahu Akbar and throw. Bismillah Allahu Akbar with a total of 7 pebbles. So if you take the pebbles, all 7 at one time, and you throw them, then this would only be equal to 1. So you have to throw them all separately. For the sisters, the brothers can actually take the pebbles and do it on their behalf. So the sisters can stay back in the tent. Maybe you can basically drop the sisters back at the tent in Mina and then go for the stoning if you want. But nowadays it's not that difficult even for the sisters to do. Okay? But if you have somebody, for example, in a wheelchair, disabled, old, and it's difficult for them to walk, they may be pushed, they may fall down, it's better for you to do it on their behalf. It is permissible to do the stoning on behalf of somebody else. Go ahead. Go back again. Yes. Yeah, you see this order that's mentioned here. Okay, the order that's mentioned here, 1, 2, and 3. According to Hanafi fiqh, you're supposed to try to stick to this order, and this was the chosen opinion of the Hanafi fiqh. The problem is that most of us, we will not be 100% sure when our sacrifice, the animal sacrifice, has been done. So when that's the case, are you supposed to wait indefinitely and until you're 100% sure or the animal has been slaughtered in front of you? You can never be sure of that. So that's why even many of the Hanafi scholars nowadays, they say that because it is completely or almost impossible, unless you're actually slaughtering the animal with your own hand, to adopt the tertib, to go against the tertib would be okay too. It is acceptable to do that. Okay, so what you do the pelting, and you will find out about the animal sacrifice. Your group leader will tell you whether it's been done or not. Even if you're not sure, it's 50-50, you can go on and shave your head. Okay, and once these 3 rites have been done, you would then perform tawaf ziyarah in Mecca. Okay, so after halaq, actually the ruling is this: once 2 of the 3 rites have been done, once 2 of the 3 have been done for sure, okay, you've done the rami, you've done the pelting, and you go back to your tent and you shave your head. Now 2 of the 3 things have been done, so the ruling is now you can get out of ihram. You can remove your ihram, and all the restrictions of ihram will now be removed except for one thing. The one thing is what? Intimacy with one's wife. You cannot do that yet. That can only be done after the tawaf ziyarah has been done, which is the tawaf, which is the next step that will be done. And that can be delayed actually for the next couple of days. The quickest and the best time to do it is early in the morning. Once you've done the pelting, go ahead and go make tawaf ziyarah. And even if you need to delay the halaq or the shaving of the head, you can do that. But if you want to stay with this order, making the rami and shaving your head and waiting for the animal to be done, that's fine also. The next step is tawaf ziyarah, and after tawaf ziyarah, all the restrictions of ihram will be removed. Okay, the next step. What is that? If you perform all 3, then there's not an issue. 2 of the 3 need to be done to be out of the state of ihram. 2 of the 3 minimum. Can we ask the questions later, inshallah? Okay, so this is a view of the different places. That you will see, if you see on the rectangle, that's where the Jamarat is, okay? And the arrows are pointing towards tunnels which take you to Mecca, okay? So these tunnels, there are different, once you actually start walking, some people will choose to walk, okay, to do Tawaf Ziyarah. If you're fit enough to do that, you can walk, and it's probably the best mode. And you will find millions of people, or hundreds of thousands of people, walking, trying to get to perform Tawaf Ziyarah. Everyone walking at once, and they will be going through the tunnels. There will be no traffic there, and it's specifically fixed for pedestrians, for people walking, to be able to go to Mecca. Okay, go ahead. The bridges of the Jamarat is like this nowadays. Okay, so you basically follow the arrows. There will be policemen there guiding you. These are the different pictures from different angles. Okay, here you see, this is as you go up to do the pelting, you see the small boat-shaped things. That is an overhead view of the Jamara. Okay, on the first day you skip the first one, you skip the second one, and you do the third one. All right, so that's what you do on the first day. Next, these are all pictures of the Jamarat, different angles. Okay, the pillars. This is another view from a different angle. Okay, the next day you can perform the pelting. Okay, so this is actually for the first day. The first day you would perform the pelting on Subh Sadiq, meaning after Fajr time you're going to be allowed to perform the pelting of the big Jamara. Okay, and they're describing to you how to pelt. I've described that already. One pebble at a time, you will try to do it. And they're telling you the first two Jamaras, you don't pelt them, you go to the large one at the end and you pelt that on the first day. Okay, carry on. Next one. Animal sacrifice. That's the next step. I mentioned that already. You're not going to do that by yourself. Somebody is going to do that on your behalf. The government does that on your behalf. Next is shaving of the head. Once the shaving of the head is done, then you're out of the state of ihram. And for the women, another inch or so from the braid, it has to be cut, and again they will be out of ihram. After that, you perform what's called Tawaf Ziyarah. This is called Tawaf Ziyarah, and it's also called Tawaf al-HAJJ, and there's another name for it also. No, not Tawaf al-Wada. Wada is at the end. Tawaf Ifada, here. Tawaf al-Ifada, Tawaf al-Ziyarah, and Tawaf al-HAJJ. These names are used for this Tawaf al-Ziyarah. Okay? So this is an obligation, and unless and until you do this Tawaf, you will remain in a semi-state of ihram, meaning that if you left Mecca without performing this Tawaf, it would be not permissible for you to go close to your wife and for your wife to come close to you, because you are still in that semi-state of ihram. Okay? The main restrictions of ihram were removed after you cut your hair, but the final restriction of intimacy with one's wife is not removed until this tawaf is done. Tawaf al-Ziyarah or Tawaf al-Ifada or Tawaf al-Hajj. Okay? And then after making tawaf, you make sa'i, you pray 2 rak'ah just like before, and then you make sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and that Tawaf al-Ziyarah is now complete. Okay? So the a'mal, and this tawaf actually can be delayed the next day or even the next day after that. If you want to delay it or if you want to rest, the day of Arafah and then the night at Muzdalifah, it can get very taxing and very tiring. So if you want to delay Tawaf al-Ziyarah you can do that. Okay, you're in your normal clothes now, so that main restrictions of ihram have been removed. So the only remaining restriction is the issue of marital relations. So hopefully you can wait a couple more days for that. Okay, all right. The next day, basically after you've completed Tawaf Ziyarah, or even if you've chosen to wait, you stay in Mina overnight. It's sunnah to stay in the camp, in the tents at Mina overnight, and the next day you would perform the Rami one more time. But the Rami now, it's for all three Jamarat. All three Jamarat are going to be pelted. And the timing for that starts after Salatul Dhuhr. Between Salatul Dhuhr and Salatul Maghrib is the best time. If a person has an excuse of sickness, illness, disability and so on, then it can be done earlier or it can be delayed. But if you don't have an excuse, then after Salatul Dhuhr is the time to do Rami of the three Jamarat. So you start with the first Jamarat that you come across, the same way, 7 stones, and then you turn towards Qibla and make dua after making the Rami of the 7 pebbles. And then you go to the second Jamara and you do the 7 stones, and then you turn towards Qibla and make dua, and the third Jamara, 7 stones each individually, and then after the third Jamara you don't make dua, you proceed and go back to Mina. Okay, go back to the camp at Mina. Carry on. These are they're telling you what to do: first Jamara, second Jamara, and the third Jamara. Okay, and this is, you do that on the day after that, which is now the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. You do exactly the same thing. After Salatul Dhuhr, you do the Rami of all of the 3 Jamarat, and now you would leave Mina. You would leave Mina, leave the boundary of Mina before Maghrib on that day. If you do not leave the boundary of Mina before Maghrib on that day, then you have to make Rami for a 3rd day, exactly the same as you did before, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, but after the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, if you leave before Maghrib, your Hajj is now complete. But if you stay and you get delayed for illness or sickness, or because you didn't get transportation or the traffic was very busy, then you have to perform Rami for 1 more day. You stay in the tent overnight and you do the stoning of all the three Jamarat for 1 more day, which is now the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. Once that's done, now your Hajj is also complete. Alright? So that's pretty much how the Hajj is performed. Let me just summarize one more time again. On the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, you proceed to Mina. You pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha and Fajr at Mina. The next day is the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. You proceed to Arafah. Arafah, you pray Dhuhr and Asr together and stay worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the day until Maghrib time. At Maghrib time you leave, proceed to Muzdalifah, combine the salats between Maghrib and Isha combined at Muzdalifah, stay there overnight until Salatul Fajr. After Salatul Fajr you leave and be ready to pelt one of the Jamarat, the last Jamara. You pelt that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stones, and then you wait for the announcement that the animal has been slaughtered, or you shave your head. Once the 2 steps of Rami and shaving your head has been done, you can actually get out of your ihram clothes and get into your normal clothes. You would then proceed, if you have the ability to do so, go and perform Tawaf Ziyarah with Sa'i, and then you come back and you stay overnight in Mina. Next day, after Salatul Dhuhr, after the Adhan of Dhuhr has been done, you proceed to the Jamara, and you now pelt all 3 of the Jamarat, the small 1, 2 and 3, 7 stones each, and then go back to the camp and stay overnight again at Mina. Next day you do the same thing. After Salatul Dhuhr, pelt the 3 jamarat and then try to leave before Salatul Maghrib if you don't want to stay for one more day. If you stay until after Maghrib, you would have to again pelt the jamarat, all 3, on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah also. Irrespective of if you leave after the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah before Maghrib, your Hajj is complete. If you stay till after Maghrib, after pelting the 3 jamarat again on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, your Hajj is also complete. So that's basically the summary of how to perform the Hajj. We can open up the floor for questions if you like. And also, the brother, if you are Urdu speaking and you can read Urdu, brother has a very good guidebook that you can use while performing the Hajj. It's kind of like a flip type of guide that you can use, inshallah. He is giving them out for free, inshallah. Questions? Oh yeah, one more thing that's remaining is Tawaful Wada'. Tawaful Wada' is obligatory upon every person that is leaving Makkatul Mukarramah. Okay, this is, although it's not really associated, it's not connected with the Hajj rites themselves, but whenever a person goes for Hajj or Umrah, as a person is leaving, he needs to perform what's known as Tawaful Wada'. Tawaful Wada', basically it means farewell tawaf. And just like you go to somebody that you love very much and you're going to bid them farewell, this Tawaful Wada' is what this is about. A person, when he's performing the Tawaful Wada', is with the understanding that I'm now about to leave Mecca. I may never return. I may never get the tawfiq. I might die before that. So this might be my last visit to the Kaaba. So with that thought in mind, a person makes Tawaful Wada'. And this is only tawaf. You make the tawaf 2 rak'ah without sa'i. You don't make sa'i at that point, right? So that's basically an obligation. For women whose menstruation starts before they leave, the Tawaful Wada' is not obligatory upon them. However, people who don't have any type of excuse, they must perform Tawaful Wada'. This is an obligation, and if it's not performed, then a dam would be obligatory, meaning they would have to sacrifice an animal as a recompense. It's compulsory or not compulsory? Is that what you mean? There's a difference of opinion about this issue. It's the Prophet ﷺ did it. He performed Salatul Dhuhr and Asr together in Arafah. The reason for the difference of opinion is that they say that the scholars that disagree, they say that if you pray Salatul Dhuhr and Asr at Masjid Namira with the congregation, then it's permissible, according to their opinion, to combine between the salats. If you're performing it in your own tent, you're not praying it with the main jama'ah, therefore you should not combine. That's the reasoning behind it. However, the scholars that say no, it's okay to combine, they say that the Prophet ﷺ did it. So irrespective of where you're praying, whether at Masjid Namira or whether you're praying in your tent, it's permissible to combine. However, like I said, there's a difference of opinion, and it's not something that you should make a big issue out of, because the validity of Hajj is not reliant upon this sole issue. If a person feels comfortable separating the Dhuhr and Asr, then it's up to him. He can do that. In Nafil Tawaf. Okay, this is something that it's not part of the Hajj itself, but Nafil Tawaf. What is Nafil Tawaf? Nafil Tawaf is basically, for example, you've completed your Umrah, you have 3-4 more days left until Hajj. So what should you do? So one of the best ibadah that you can do is perform Nafil Tawaf. Nafil Tawaf is done exactly the same as a regular tawaf with the intention of nafil tawaf. You make 7 circles with istilam and everything, as we mentioned yesterday, and you basically, after performing the 2 rak'ah, after performing the tawaf, you make 2 rak'ah and the nafil tawaf is completed. And the question was, can you make the nafil tawaf in your normal clothes? Yes, you can. You don't have to be in the state of ihram to do that. Okay, so nafil tawaf can be performed in your regular clothes. Yes, brother. No, in Mina, it's not reported that the Prophet ﷺ did it. So the question was that can you combine, or should you combine your salats, Salat al-Dhuhr and Asr al-Maghrib in Mina? The Prophet ﷺ did not do it, so we do not need to do it also. We just pray all the salats in their own time. The only thing that was reported from the Prophet was at Arafah and at Muzdalifah. Dhuhr and Asr at Arafah and Maghrib and Isha at Muzdalifah. Can you make nafil tawaf on the behalf of deceased? I believe you can. You can make nafil tawaf on behalf of deceased, and also umrah you can do on their behalf also. Okay, the question was again, I didn't hear. Yeah, you can do nafil tawaf on behalf of deceased. But the question also is about Hajj Badr, that you're making a complete Hajj on behalf of somebody. Okay, you cannot perform a Hajj on behalf of somebody unless you've done your own Hajj. Remember that. So if you, for example, if you have a deceased parent or a grandparent that wasn't able to perform the Hajj and you want to do it on their behalf, you have had to perform your own Hajj first before doing it on their behalf. You cannot perform it on anybody else's behalf until you've done your own. Any other questions? Right. That's basically the question is, like we mentioned, the order of on the 10th day was to do the pelting of the jamrah and then sacrifice the animal and then shave your head. And the brother Pida is making the observation that when you actually pay for the sacrifice animal, if you go to the booths, usually what happens is your travel agent will take the money from you and pay on your behalf so that that animal is sacrificed. Okay? But if they didn't do that, then throughout Mecca and Medina there are these booths which have like green roofs, and you can go and pay for the sacrifice animal, and they will give you a particular time when an animal will be sacrificed. Okay? So Brother Peter is saying that once you've got that time, you know that that animal has been sacrificed. But again, it's only an estimate. Just imagine there are 3 million people performing the Hajj, which means 3 million animals. And to imagine that your animal, your particular animal, will be sacrificed at the time that they tell you, unless and until it's done privately by a private contractor or something who is only taking care of a few animals, I don't think that you can actually 100% guarantee it. Okay? But if they told you that it's going to be sacrificed by 10:30, you can wait maybe a couple of hours for a cushion and shave your head. But again, like I said, because of the almost impossible nature of guaranteeing it, the scholars have kind of become lenient about this issue in recent times. Any other questions? Yeah, so the question is that some people, they want to leave the camp at Mina, go back to the Kaaba, make tawaf and so on. So the sunnah is to stay in Mina. So to observe the sunnah is obviously the best thing, and after you finish with the rites of Hajj and finished with what you're supposed to do in Mina, then you can go ahead and go back to the Kaaba and perform the other rituals. One question that comes up quite frequently is the issue of women taking pills to stop their menstruation. The fatwa is that it's permissible to do that. Okay, it is permissible for women to do that if they want to do it. However, keep in mind that there may be side effects. There may be, and it's not guaranteed that it will stop the flow of blood. So there will be these issues that you need to keep in mind. The second thing for brothers, very important, that we forgot to mention all through, is that when you're in the state of ihram, your legs are basically rubbing against each other. Okay, the thighs are going to be rubbing against each other, and what happens is that skin between the thighs is going to become very tender. So, and it's going to be very painful. So to prevent that from happening, always keep Vaseline with you. And before you start your tawaf and sa'i and all of these things in which you have to walk a lot, make sure that you liberally put a lot of Vaseline in that area, in the groin area, to prevent that kind of problem from happening. Okay, so this is a very important thing. You'll see people kind of walking funny. It's because they forgot to put the Vaseline on. Alright, so keep a bottle of Vaseline with you. If you forget, you can buy it at any pharmacy over there. The other thing is medication. Most medication is available in all the pharmacies in the area. Even antibiotics, you can get them without any type of prescription. Just go to the counter, go to the pharmacy and say, I want X, Y, and Z antibiotic, and they'll just give it to you. You just have to pay for it. Okay? But take the regular stuff with you, antidiarrheal medication, maybe some probiotics. Take the Gatorade powders. The Gatorade powders that basically you can put inside water to prevent yourself from dehydration. This is something that you can consider. Airborne have these tablets which also have electrolytes in them. If you mix them in water and shake them, any dehydration that you're feeling, that can be covered. Okay, so the main point that you need to try to avoid: dehydration, too much exposure to the sunlight. You have the danger of sunstroke when that happens. Try to stay in a shaded area as much as possible. Regular medication that you may need is the things that I've already mentioned. If you don't get the medication, the pharmacies, they will have the majority of the things that you can just get over the counter. One of the things that you may suffer from a lot is a sore throat, allergies. So take an anti-allergy with you, Claritin or something like that, to get rid of the scratchy throat, and also lozenges like Strepsils. You can buy them over the counter over there in Mecca or Medina. You can buy them. You get many different flavors. They're quite effective to get rid of the sore throat. Many people also get a cough, so to take a cough medicine with you might be practical. Either cough lozenges or cough syrup to take it with you. That may help you to get rid of the cough if you become a victim of it. It is very, very common, and most people will get it. So, better to be safe than sorry. Yeah, the question brother is asking is a very important question. When you're praying in the haram, the reward is multiplied 100,000 times. Okay, so obviously the ideal situation is to try to pray at Al-Masjid al-Haram itself. Okay, and that is the most rewarding thing that a person can do. Some scholars actually go as far as to say that when a person is praying with the congregation, it's multiplied 27 times. Okay, and in addition to the 100,000 that he's already getting for praying in the haram. So actually it becomes 2.7 million for each salat that a person prays with the congregation in the haram. Now the question is now that if you're in Aziziyah, for example, you cannot get to the haram. Aziziyah actually is part of the haram. It is within the boundaries of the haram, so you will be rewarded 100,000 times, inshallah, even if you're in Aziziyah. What people get very upset about is the tour operator, he put you in Aziziyah and now there's no transportation to take you from the building in Aziziyah to Al-Masjid al-Haram. And people become upset because that's what they came for. But the reality is sometimes that even when the agents try their hardest, they cannot provide transportation. They may order the bus to come and the bus gets stuck in traffic, people are waiting, getting frustrated, shouting and screaming and complaining that we paid you so much money and now you cannot even get us to the haram. So this is sometimes out of the hands of the tour operators. So it's not something that you should make a big issue out of. Even in Aziziyah, when you're praying, you will still get the reward of 100,000 times because it is in the boundaries of the haram itself. Yes, if you can get to the haram, if you can get to the masjid, then obviously this is the best thing and more rewarding. So you should try to do that, inshallah. One final point, try to eat light, especially during the days of Hajj. Prior to the days of Hajj, during the days of Hajj, try to eat light as much as possible. When traveling from Medina to Mecca, try to eat light approximately a day or so before, because that trip can take up to about 8 to 10 hours. Try to eat light. So the days before Arafah, Muzdalifah, in these days, also try to eat light. There'll be buffets and everything depending on which package you have. The more lighter you are in terms of your consumption, the easier it's going to be for you during the days of Hajj. So also keep that point in mind. Jazakumullah khairan. So this recording is available online. It's going to be on the Irving Masjid YouTube channel if a person wants to refer back to it. This was the second part of how to perform the Hajj. Jazakumullah khairan for attending.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا اعتدلوا واستقيموا يرحمكم الله.